West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, we'll talk with Kelly Caufield. Kelly serves as the executive director of the Common Sense Institute, previewing an event they have coming up on Wednesday, Education and the Economy. They'll be highlighting a recent education research report that they have and unveil a new interactive education dashboard. The discussion will cover their latest higher education study and provide an updated look at funding in K-12 public schools. They're going to have hors d'oeuvres, drinks, engaging conversation, and more. This is Wednesday, October 29th, 4:30 to 6 at the Dome at AMG, where you can learn about CSI's work in the education sector. It's going to include some great folks like Debbie Brown, President and CEO of the Colorado Business Roundtable, Renee Zenz, CEO of Careers in Construction Colorado, Brenda DeConer, President and CEO of Ready Colorado, Tim Foster, President Emeritus of Colorado Mesa University, Rico Munn, the interim president of Colorado State University Pueblo, and Frank McNulty, friend of the program, CU Board of Regents. All these details at commonsenseinstituteus.org. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to talk with Danielle Jurinsky. They've changed their policies with regards to pursuits. This was fascinating because when they had this moratorium on pursuits, they only had 3 total pursuits over the course of like 6 months. Then they changed it and had hundreds of pursuits. But what was really interesting was that the number of SWAT engagements dropped. So they were getting the guys on the streets and not having to kick in the doors. We're going to talk with Danielle Jurinsky in the 8 o'clock hour, and then Becky Tassone on Flight 629. I'd never even heard of this. But big crash took place in the 50s here in Colorado when a son, angry at his mom, packed dynamite in her luggage, blew up the airplane, killed 44 over Longmont. They're trying to build a memorial, which I think they should, because I grew up in Colorado and never heard of this issue. So we'll be talking with Becky Tassone in the 9 o'clock hour. Lots to cover. Now it's time, though, for news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. It's Tuesday, 31 and clear, expecting a high of 49 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
When they're the ones who are voting no, but they don't want you to know that. Y'all need to understand, the biggest thing about it is that y'all need to understand that while they're voting no to not fund the SNAP program, not open the government, not pay essential workers, while they're voting no for all of those things, they're still getting paid.
Yes, sir. The slimy lefties. The Schumer shutdown continues. Funding for food assistance is set to run out on Saturday, affecting over 40 million Americans. That may be the Democrats' objective: create more chaos, rioting, and looting. Republicans say open the government, and hey, we'll talk about everything the majority of us Americans really don't want.
So, Blake, I had
yes.
I had a conversation with one of the country's top political strategists. He brought up a really good point. He said that if this was working out in Democrats' favor, it would be a constant on the front page of every newspaper across the country, the way previous shutdowns have. Right?
Yes.
It's like day 25, day 26, and it would just be. But this is a weird one because you don't see those headlines.
That's
in
point.
part because it's not playing well for the Democrats. So they've kind of painted themselves into a corner here where they've got to figure out a way out of it, and the Republicans are the ones going just fund what we've said all along.
Right.
The same government you were willing to fund earlier this year. Can we just keep going? And if the Obamacare premiums are such a critical issue, it's a standalone issue.
Mm-hmm.
That's a standalone debate. You don't need to tie the payments to the air traffic controllers and SNAP benefits to it.
Absolutely not.
No,
I think that's a great point. Everything you see, you're right. It is a little strange. In past years when these occur, everything points toward the Republicans, even if they're not to blame.
Right.
And it's hard to talk your way out of it. Now you're like, yeah, all they have to do is, do one simple thing. Come along. We'll talk about it. We can open it up right now and you can get fed. But you're right. It is a different one. And the Republicans are winning this one right now. I agree. World Series last night, Game 3, bottom of the 18th, tied at 5. Yes, I said bottom of the 18th. Freddie Freeman at the plate.
In Los Angeles. Freeman sends a fly ball to center field. Varsho's going back before the clock strikes midnight. Freddie Freeman has ended it. It's a repeat hero with the last word on a Game 3 classic.
That was incredible. A walk-off homer, 6-5 final in Game 3 of the World Series, bottom of the 18th. Dodgers lead the series 2-1, and Dodgers manager Dave Roberts after the game.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest World Series games of all time. Emotional. I'm spent emotionally. We got a ball game later tonight. Which is crazy.
Yes, absolutely. Got to turn it around and do it again. Amazing. City Council heard public feedback last night on a proposed budget that cut spending to address a $31 million shortfall. Resident Lonnie Miera and city employees raised concerns about reduced funding for the fire department and the recent closure of Meadows Park Community Center.
By closing this down, we'll be shut down, and that's not going to be fair to the neighborhood. They're not just hurting the center, our neighborhood. They're hurting everybody.
Some argued that the cuts could impact public safety in Denver and essential services. The council will review the proposal during a markup session Wednesday before the first budget reading on November 10th. DJT continues his week-long visit to Asia, stopping in Japan to address U.S. troops aboard the USS George Washington.
And I was just told by the Prime Minister that Toyota is going to be putting auto plants all over the United States to the tune of over $10 billion. So that's Toyota. So go out and buy a Toyota.
He praised record military spending and promised a pay raise for all service members. 47 also met with Japan's new prime minister to discuss plenty of things, including security and trade.
I have always had a great love of Japan and a great respect of Japan. And I will say that this will be a relationship that will be stronger than ever before. And I look forward to working with you. And on behalf of our country, I want to just let you know, anytime you have any question, any doubt, anything you want, any favors you need, anything I can do to help Japan, we will be there. We are.
DJT heads to South Korea for talks with Chinese President Xi, while saying he's open to a meeting with, oh my goodness, North Korea's Kim Jong-un. That having a meeting with that dude, can you imagine? Before heading home, he said he would do that. Amazon announcing the layoffs of nearly 30,000 corporate workers starting today. The jobs represent nearly 10% of the company's corporate workforce. Megyn Kelly telling the world how crazy Colorado is with gender ideology. Of course, we know that under Governor Polis, echoing what you hear right here on the Jeff and Billy Show on a regular basis.
It's insane, and it's really dangerous what they've done in Colorado, which is a lunatic state. I mean, truly, like the legislation coming out of there on the trans issue is as far left as it gets. So they passed this ban, and a therapist files a lawsuit saying, I can't do my job with this. I'm not just going to affirm a child I don't actually think is trans because of a law that says I'm not allowed to discuss with him whether he really is or isn't, or really is having gender confusion. So the underlying litigation all lined up in favor of Colorado, in favor of letting the ban stand. And then thankfully the high court took the case, which is good. That's a good sign. They didn't want to just let the lower court decision stand.
The Chiefs.
It is such a weird state to live in where you go, hello.
It's crazy.
It's unconstitutional 5 years ago. And then, it gets to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Right.
And then Megyn Kelly picks it up. And you're just like, she's exactly right. Colorado is one of the most progressive states in America at this point.
Yeah, when you hear that, as close as you are to all this stuff,
you're like,
I mean, you got to pinch yourself, going, "Wait, where am I?"
Well, you kind of like go through this like gaslighted in your own mind. You're like, "Am I this crazy?
Yes.
Am I crazy?" And you're like, "This thing is clearly unconstitutional." I sat there during the writing of this bill and was like, guys, this thing isn't going to work. And
exactly.
And they're like, nope, we're passing it. And then 5 years later, the Supreme Court picks it up. You're like, well, maybe I'm not crazy after all.
I know you've counted them. How many bills has it been since 2019 on the transgender? It has to be.
It's a lot.
It's 15 a lot. To 25. How many?
But then you have the Jack Phillips Supreme Court case, you have the Lori Smith Supreme Court case, you have the lawsuit from Idra Haji, you have this kid that was trying to paint a Bible verse on the parking lot we covered yesterday, Rampart. Now that's a lawsuit.
God, what a mess.
Yeah.
Thank God we have a radio show. We can talk about it. Chiefs beat the Commanders 28-7. Kansas City is now 5-3, chasing the Broncos in the AFC West, and the Broncos in Houston Sunday to take on the Texans. 30 in Littleton, 32 in Greenwood Village, 31 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 7:10 5-day forecast, a cold start to our Tuesday. Clear skies, morning temperatures upper 20s. Winds are going to remain northerly. Therefore, despite sunny skies Tuesday, going to be cooler. Highs middle and upper 40s, back in the mid-20s and clear Tuesday night. Wednesday through Friday, sunny and dry. Highs middle and upper 50s. Clear nights through the end of the work week and lows low and mid-30s. Getting warmer this upcoming weekend. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, they do the absolute best nonpartisan research out there, the Common Sense Institute of Colorado. The point being, with all their great work, we just want to provide data and analysis on the impact of the policy decisions that take place down there. We'll let the lawmakers hash it out. And it's always an honor to have their executive director, Kelly Caufield, joining us. They've got a great event coming up tomorrow. She's going to preview for us. Good morning, Kelly. Thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning.
So much, Jeff and Bill. Really appreciate it.
Well, I think a lot of our challenges come down to education. You're hosting an event, the 29th Education and the Economy. Tell us all about it.
Thanks so much. Yes. Common Sense does a number of events throughout the year to make sure our research is getting out to the general public and policymakers. And it's generally the back-to-school time frame of the year, so we thought it'd be a great time to get people together to hear about the latest data and trends impacting institutions of higher education in Colorado, as well as K-12. So we've built a all-star panel. Think it's going to be a great conversation. We're going to have Debbie Brown with the Colorado Business Roundtable moderating the discussion. And then we're going to have some of the state's top leaders in K-12 and higher education. We're going to have Rico Munn, who is the interim president of CSU Pueblo, on a panel, Tim Foster, the former president of Colorado Mesa, as well as Frank McNulty, one of the CU regents. Then we're also going to have Renee Zentz, who is in Colorado Springs and leads an organization called Careers in Construction, where she's trying to help more young people connect to industry and workplace skills. And we also will have Brenda Dickoner, who is the CEO and president of Ready Colorado, which is a K-12 advocacy organization. The event is free. We would love for your listeners to register on our website.
That website, commonsenseinstituteus.org, commonsenseinstituteus.org. Hit Colorado, then hit events, and you can register there. It's October 29th, 4:30 to 6 p.m., the Dome at AMG. So that's tomorrow night at the Dome at AMG. I'm really intrigued as to what this interactive education dashboard is going to be. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we are digitizing our K-12 education data. I think it's easy to get lost in a long report. So we want families and policymakers and voters to better understand the health of their school district. So this will be launching shortly. We'll make sure you get the link so that you can send it out to your viewers. But the goal really is transparency. There's no agenda here. We're digitizing the education data that Common Sense Institute has been collecting for a number of years. So you'll be able to go to the site. I live in Denver, so I would be able to go to our dashboard, pull up Denver Public Schools, and I would see about 10 or 12 very clean indicators around how is Denver Public Schools doing in terms of what really matters: proficiency, funding, enrollment trends, how many students are exercising choice in my district, how much of public education funding is going towards instruction versus administrative spending. It will also have the picture and the contact information of your superintendent and your school board. That's often a data point that I think a lot of people are not sure who is in charge of the school district. So we're really excited to provide that information. It will be available for every school district in Colorado. We have 178. And because we're real wonks, you are able to compare your district to the state. So you can just better understand, am I performing above or below the state average? And then you can also compare your school district to another school district, because in Colorado, we're really lucky to have a level of school choice where you are able to choice into a neighboring school or a different school district. So we think it's important for parents to have that kind of data to make good decisions for their families.
Kelly, that's huge. That's amazing. I didn't realize it was going to be so interactive. I mean, to be able to, first of all, just look at your own district and see how it's going is really important. To compare it to the state, to look how it compares with other districts. This is a game changer, Kelly Caufield.
Thank you. And you'll be able to see trends over time. You know, a 1 year snapshot may not tell the whole story. So the dashboard will go back 5 years. We want to start before COVID. So you'll look at a snapshot from a trend, from 2019 through today. So you'll be able to see, is my district moving in the right direction, in the wrong direction? And really help parents and voters, I think, just feel less intimidated in the educational conversation, so they can now come to meetings with their teachers, with their superintendents, with their school board leaders, and they will have the data that matters most to them.
Wow. Now, I imagine this took a long time to put together. Tell us a little bit about the process and who's behind it. And did you have a fellow? Did you have a research team? Those types of things.
We do have our great research team has been collecting data over the summer. It's all publicly available, Jeff. It's amazing, actually, how much data is available on the Colorado Department of Education website. It's just really hard to find. I'm a former full-time education advocacy person in my job before Common Sense, and it would take me, 20 minutes to find what is the proficiency of students in my district? How much are we spending? What does enrollment look like? So the department has a lot of this data, but it's very hard to find. So we wanted to break that down and make it easier for people to navigate and to see the academic health and the overall health of the district.
And when is this going to be released?
The goal is in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Jeff, we're also going to have some indicators around school safety and mental health. We know that academics is, a very important data indicator when it comes to school health, but we know when we talk to parents and teachers that mental health and school safety is also at the top of mind for school leaders and most certainly for parents. So there will also be some data elements helping parents understand how many violent incidences have occurred at the school district. Is that trending up or down? Do they have mental health supports on site? So we're really excited to unveil that in the next few weeks and would love to have an opportunity to talk to you more about it when it's launched.
Yeah, that's a big deal. The reason I bring up being that you have school board elections coming up, goodness, a week from today. Is that today? A week from today. And that in off years in Colorado is the big election. So everybody's talking about that. And this would definitely help inform the guidance of particular school districts. But you're not a partisan entity. You're not in the business of elections, but this will likely come out after the school board elections. Is that correct?
Jeff, we are pushing hard to get it out before the election, but you're right. It may, might be a little bit after that, but we are doing the last minute testing this week, and I am eager to provide that update for you all. School choice windows usually open in January for Colorado families. So when you need to decide, do I want to stay in this district? Do I want to go to private school? Do I want to homeschool? Do I want to go to a different school within my district? A lot of those decisions are made in January. So it will be very valuable for parents in a few months.
I just think that is absolutely fantastic. Kelly Caufield, Executive Director, Common Sense Institute, when I've tried to look up for instance, proficiency rates for Denver Public Schools, I end up in like U.S. News and World Report, and I'm digging through that data, and there's no way I could probably manage the Colorado Department of Education website and figure all that out. So the fact you've been able to take this, put it together for average parents like myself to be able to look at is really a big deal, because we know that competition fosters improvement, right? If you have parents that are choosing one district over the other, you've got to up your game if you want to be able to compete with some of those great schools out there. Can you give us a sense of any trends you might be noticing with regards to education in the state of Colorado?
Story in public education in Colorado is we have declining enrollment, lagging student performance while spending increases. And we're not the only state with this bit of a paradox going on. I mean, K-12 enrollment in Colorado has dropped every year since 2020. Of course, the year of the pandemic, we had a huge drop in enrollment, but that trend has continued. Statewide enrollment in public education is about 3% below what it was in the 2020 peak. So while you're seeing enrollment declining, we're still seeing public education revenue increasing. And the Common Sense report, Dollars and Data, which we'll be unpacking more at our event tomorrow. We really hope you all can come. CSI Institute us.org is one way you can register and click on Colorado. But we're seeing a public education revenue growth of 21% while enrollment has fallen for 5 straight years. So I think it really warrants an important conversation. I mean, declining fertility is a part of this conversation, but clearly parents are exercising school choice with their feet. They do have a lot of choices in the state. There could be even more choices. We know ballot measures are likely coming in 26 that could open up even more choices, potentially for for parents. But compared to other states, Colorado does have a lot of charter schools and the ability to choice into a school within your district or into a neighboring district.
We're talking with Kelly Caufield. She's the executive director of the Common Sense Institute here in Colorado, a nonpartisan research institute that just provides data so that policymakers can make the best informed decisions. We had Paul Pazin on our show Friday about a new report they've done. I created a video on my social media covering some of these reports. It is the bare bones analysis that we need in the state to see if policies work. Bottom line, I think most people just want policy to work. And if it's not, then we need to adjust it. But how do you measure it? Oftentimes, political folks don't ever get around to that. So you need great organizations like the Common Sense Institute of Colorado to dive into it. You know, Kelly, one of the things that I've watched as my kids have gotten into school and been a parent that's trying to navigate all this, because we've had kids educate in government-run brick-and-mortar schools. We've had our kids educated in public charter schools and now private Christian schools. So we've been across all of that. The importance of quality teachers, the importance of quality administrators being raised up. I feel like, particularly from the conservative side, that hasn't been an emphasis in the conservative movement to go, hey, if we're going to have school choice and all this and you want lots of options, parents, we need good administrators. We need good teachers. From your sense, your analysis, are we raising up quality teachers, administrators to be able to fill these roles? You're going to have someone speaking in careers in construction, Colorado, Renee Zentz. In order to provide quality education, we need great teachers, great administrators. Talk about the importance of a society and kind of providing those from your perspective.
We really did dig into how school districts are allocating resources. And there's some interesting trends there as well. We actually found that we're not investing in instruction as much as we used to. So instruction's share, of total spending, it actually fell when you look across all districts. It fell from being about 46% of the share of funding was going towards teachers and instruction, and now it's down to about 41% 10 years later. So that's an interesting trend. And what you're seeing is the spend in administrative support and cost, that is creeping up. So that used to be a lower percentage of the pie. So the focus on teachers and instruction is going down while the money going towards administrative overhead is increasing. And Jeff, it's an interesting trend because, yes, I also have two children in elementary school, and I know the power of strong leaders and strong teachers. It can completely make or break your child's interest in school and engagement levels. But this is, I think, kind of a concerning trend that we're seeing more spending going in administration versus actually into teachers. And there could be a few things going on there. Common Sense will have to follow up and do some additional studies, and I'm sure this will come out at our event tomorrow, where the real leaders of our state will be talking about education, policy, and trends. But some of this could be increasing, psychologists, social workers, nurses. I mean, schools, I think, really are trying to be everything right now to help our students. The food preparation workers. We've been talking about the healthy meals ballot measures, LL and MM. So schools are increasing their personnel, but it's not necessarily always teachers, which I think is a part of the funding increases and I think warrants additional scrutiny and conversation.
Yeah, I've just noticed that no matter what you choose for your kids, whether it's public, private, charter, whatever you might choose, a lot of the issues remain the same. Are the teachers quality teachers? Are the administrators quality administrators? And as we as a society doing our best to send great, talented people, well-trained into those fields, I think there's a room for a lot of debate on that, and I think there's more that we can be doing. But Common Sense Institute Colorado hosting an event October 29th, Education and the Economy. I cannot tell you how important quality education is to the future of this country. It is the foundation of a lot of the issues that we're debating here stem from whether or not kids are getting a quality education. So we need to be pouring a lot of energy, a lot of debate, a lot of discussion into the school boards that we're electing, the administrators that are running the schools, the teachers that are teaching our kids. All of that is so critical to the future of this state. Common Sense Institute providing this incredible dashboard that I'm excited to dive into once it's launched. But tomorrow night, go hang out with them. Go to commonsenseinstituteus.org, commonsenseinstituteus.org. Education in the Economy event, October 29th, 4:30 to 6 at the Dome at AMG. That's in Greenwood Village, Colorado. No one's doing it better. No one's doing it better than the Common Sense Institute of Colorado, and it's led by Kelly Caufield, the executive director. Kelly, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Jeff and Bill.
All right, we'll continue. Would love to hear from you about these issues. I've noticed, and look, Kelly's not a policy partisan type of person, so she doesn't get into these debates. But I think the conservative movement has a real flaw in the fact that for the last 25 years, if you were a young, talented conservative, we said, go into law, go into business, make a fortune. You know, we told these kind of young college Republicans coming up. We didn't say, hey, go into education. Commit your life to being a teacher or an administrator. And we're on the precipice of this massive school choice movement that's about to take place with charter schools and private schools. And I don't think we've backfilled, as conservatives, the ability to resource those in ways that are going to be successful.
In fact, I'll go one further on you.
Go ahead.
In fact, not only have you not backfilled, you have pilloried the very institutions you claim to want to rely on now. There has been, in my mind, an anti-intellectualism movement inside the GOP for quite some time, talking about, your fancy degrees and listening to people from college, and you don't want to do this. So there has been, in my mind, over the past 15 years or so, a direct push against actually getting a good quality education. And so that has dissuaded so many people. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
How is that against education? Critiquing the progressiveness of education.
Oh, no.
I'm not sure it's against education.
Yeah, and where I'm going with that is the idea of the fact that we can go into just some basic science, and people are like, go out there and do your own research. No, you're not a scientist. And so there's some things there where people push back on and go into and get things completely and totally wrong. And that's been a problem. And that is going to continue to be a problem when the GOP glances skeptically at institutes of higher learning and the idea of just furthering your education. That's going to be difficult because it's hard to get conservatives then to invest in taking those jobs when you've already said those jobs aren't really worth it anyway. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think those are two different things from my perspective. But join the debate, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Our friends over at the Common Sense Institute hosting an event tomorrow night, Education and the Economy. And Billy and I discussing education. And the point I'm trying to make is that conservatives are right to push for school choice. Absolutely. Unions dominate government-run education. It's agenda-driven. It doesn't deliver. You have too many special interests, particularly teachers' unions, that aren't putting the students first. And so, yes, conservatives are absolutely correct to push for school choice. I think even to the point of education savings account, backpack funding, where kids can and families can pick even private religious schools with the money that they would typically get from the state to go to those schools. I have no problem with that at all. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that in the midst of this education revolution we're going through, which is absolutely necessary, we have not done a good enough job backfilling with quality conservative teachers and administrators that are ready to receive all these students. And we need the conservative movement to get really serious about raising up teachers, administrators to be able to provide what's about to come with this big school choice education movement. Let's go to the phone lines. Bill, Castle Rock. Good morning, Bill. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Good morning.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Very interesting topic. As I was telling Bill earlier, I'm a retired school teacher, District 38 down in Monument. After about 25 years, I finally got out because these government schools often are what I would say are just losing any aspect of disciplining students. I was at a high school there, and the thought was that, sorry, I'm in my truck right now. It's bouncing on the road. The thought was, well, when a kid acts up and give them a referral to the office, they give them a granola bar and tell them to go back and be good. Well, kids know how to game the system. So I think one reason we've lost teachers is the lack of discipline and enforcement in the school. The other comment that I'd like to make is that I've never heard is the fact that we are aborting close to 1 million children a year. It's no wonder we're losing students in schools and we don't have the children coming up. And this has been happening, since about 1973. So that was about all I'd want to say.
Now, Bill, setting the abortion subject aside, looking at the discipline, I can agree with you there. And I want to say that I've got 4 educators in my family, and I refer to it a lot. And I want to see if your experience was the same as theirs. And these are educators that have, at different stages in their life and have a long breadth of history in Colorado schools. And the one thing they've talked about is a change in parental attitudes toward school. And what I mean by that is, if your child is not in school, or your child is not performing up to expectations, or your child got into a fight in the parking lot, instead of the parent taking the side of the school, it's now become 60 to 75% of the time the parent takes the side of the child, meaning that, well, your teacher is stupid. That's why my kid didn't complete the assignments and is failing. It's not that my kid decided to hit some other kid. It's because your school is stupid and it's your school's fault that my kid got into a fight. It's not that my kid didn't decide to get on the bus at the right time in the morning and get to school on time. It's your school's fault because of complete the sentence any way you want. Did you see that type of a transition in parental behavior during your time, 20 plus years as a teacher?
That is so true. That is so insightful, and your relatives are right. As I was going on in my career, and it was public schools, you started to notice that parents became what are called helicopter parents. They hover above and everything is fine until Johnny messes up and we wind up, or I wind up calling the parent or giving the kid a referral. And then all of a sudden it comes back, well, it's your fault. You don't like my kid. Well, maybe I don't like your kid, but he's acting up, and 1 or 2 kids can ruin a classroom. So that is so true. We also had what we would call dry cleaner parents. They drop their kid off so screwed up and messed up, and you're supposed to fix them somehow. in the class period you have and things like that. And they bring that that behavior from home into the school. And I always felt bad for other kids that are trying to do the right thing, and you're winding up having to discipline this kid because he's acting up or falling asleep in class or cheating or whatever. So your relatives are exactly right.
Bill,
That's
I've got
amazing how it's changed.
One of those relatives was in an administrative meeting with a child who has been a consistent problem at the school, as in not showing up, not turning in assignments, and also getting into fights. So this is a consistent problem. They're talking about level of suspension or possibly exploring expulsion. And this member of my family still resonates with me today. And this is more than 15 years ago that this happened. So this has been going on a long time. This parent turned to my relative and said, well, you've got him for 6 or 7 hours a day. Why can't you fix him? That was how the parent looked at the school, that I'm dropping him off here and it's your job to fix them, not all the other time that I've spent with them.
And I love that line, dry cleaning parents. Yeah. Why is it that 80% of Denver public school, middle school students aren't proficient at their
discipline
grade
reasons.
level?
I'll be willing to put on discipline.
Do you really put it on like helicopter and dry cleaning parents?
I personally, I'll let Bill answer in a second. I put it on discipline, and I will explain why in just a sec. But Bill, why do you think it is?
Well, I think part of the reason is kids are smart. They know how to game the system, and we have what is called social promotion going on in your public schools. Well, here's a kid that can't even read near grade level, and, I would give the kid Fs, and they would still pass him up to the next grade. I'm going, this kid is set up for failure. He needs to have some kind of intervention, some kind of special classes that at least help him be able to read for content. It's frustrating with, other teachers too. They see that and they flunk a kid and boom, Johnny goes on to 9th grade or what have you,
Yeah, that's the problem is, one, we don't hold these kids back. And part of it is,
right.
And that's where it goes into the discipline idea. We don't want to hold kids back. We don't want to suspend them. And we also have no way in the public school system to kick them out. And the example I have is right now our classrooms are overcrowded. Let's just go with a baseline of 35 students. Out of those 35 students, given any day, you can probably have 3 of them that will act out. So let's take the first 30 minutes of class time. Some kid shows up late and is kind of a jerk coming in, whatever. He wastes 3 to 4 minutes at the top of class. Then we're about another 6 or 7 minutes in, and another kid starts acting up, and it takes the teacher another 4 minutes to settle down the class. And then we go another 5, 6, 7 minutes, and another kid who's talking to his other buddy, and they become a problem, and it takes the teacher another 4 minutes to settle down the class and get him back on topic. In that first 30 minutes, we've had 3 disruptions, and we've lost over 12 minutes of educational time. We've almost evaporated 50% of the time the teacher has with those students. That's why discipline slows down the learning and prevents the rest of the school from achieving on level. They simply are robbed of all that educational time because the other screw-ups in the class are sitting there taking it away from them.
So what do you do?
That's how it happens. Discipline. You get them out of the schools, you have stronger punishments, and you create an alternative pathway. We're not ready for that, but that's what used to happen. Back in the day, there was a little bit of things called peer pressure, that if you failed your grade and you were going to end up seeing all your friends become 6th graders while you're still hanging out with the 5th graders that you were just making fun of on the playground, now you're the loser. We remember seeing those jokes in the 80s about, Johnson, he's taken the 3rd grade 5 times. No, that used to happen. It doesn't happen anymore because of social pressure and a lack of discipline. If you remove those students from the educational system and the educational classroom setting, the other students begin to succeed. And here's where I'll give you the example. That type of disciplinary behavior doesn't occur in private schools or charter schools because those schools are allowed to remove those kids from the system.
Right now? Doesn't it? It sounds like that's exactly what's happening.
What is happening?
They're being removed, but in a way by removing the smart, engaged kids. They're heading out. So what you're left with is a process and a plan for those disciplinary problemed kids.
No, not at all.
And it's the government run.
No, not at all. The issue being, and here's the idea, is I can take one of those kids as a problem child and put him into any one of your private schools or any one of your charter schools, and they will create the same classroom disruption and the same loss of learning.
What I'm saying is you advocated for peeling them off and creating a separate track, and it sounds like that's already happening.
Oh, so basically your bromide is we just need to leave all the problem kids in the neighborhood public schools.
But isn't that what you said?
No.
Didn't you say you wanted a separate path for them?
Yes, because unlike you, I don't view the neighborhood public school as the last bastion of educational possibilities.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
There needs to be something else.
But in your mind, there would be another. There would be another last bastion.
There used to be a remedial school.
Yeah.
There used to be. Now there
Really?
are
You don't
some
think
that
so?
exist. There are some that exist right now, but there are some difficult problems with that, and that's the issue. That's the problem? Is when if we're looking at it, the idea that the local public school needs to be the remedial school, then we got to have a conversation about what's going on at that local neighborhood school.
All right, Bill, Castle Rock,
Yeah,
sure
thanks for the call.
appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Join the conversation. Would love to hear from you. Bill's line's open, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Our friends at Common Sense Institute are going to be launching a dashboard. This is fascinating, where you can look up your school district, how it's performing, where the money's going, compare it to the state, compare it to other school districts. And Bill, we do have an open enrollment state, so people can choose different districts even if they don't live in it. What do you think is going to be the impact of this dashboard?
I think it's going to help some parents make more informed choices. I think it's absolutely a positive because there's going to be more resources and more utility. So I think it will really help, especially parents that are struggling with choices for the right place for their child. So, yeah, I think it's overall going to be a positive.
I'm excited to see how it'll impact the school board elections, too, because if you're an elected official and the buck stops with you all, I mean, you're the ones guiding the district, choosing the superintendent, which then sets the tone for the schools and all that stuff. So if you want to see
more
improvement,
information can't be bad.
Yeah, exactly. So very impressive. Go check out their event, commonsenseinstituteus.org, and then click on Colorado. And then tomorrow, Education and the Economy, October 29th, 4:30 to 6 at the Dome at AMG. Some great people there. Debbie Brown, Renee Zenz, Brenda DeConer from Ready, Colorado, Tim Foster, President Emeritus of Colorado Mesa University, Rico Munn, Interim President, Colorado State University, Pueblo, and then Frank McNulty, CU Board of Regents. Bill, I want to ask you, you got 4 members of your family that are educators.
Yeah.
What is the primary motivation in their mind to be in education? What was the passion driving them? Was it students and kind of watching the students grow and develop? Is it being part of education overall? What is the kind of passion?
For every single one of them, it was about the students.
Was it?
Yeah, every single one of them. And I have seen them give up extra time, give up a whole bunch. I mean, give up dollars out of their own pockets, doing things for kids, spending extra time before and after schools. Yeah, universally, it is for them. It's all about the kids.
Coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to talk with Danielle Jarinsky, Aurora City Councilwoman. Things are changing in Aurora regarding police chases, as well as SWAT engagements. You're not going to want to miss this conversation. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.